Knew it. Never a doubt. Ever a doubt in that one. Cowboys 35, New England 29. Are ye not entertained? What an epic NFL contest. If that does not blow your skirt up, I am not sure what will. The Dallas Cowboys go into the bye week with a 5-1 record and win for the first time against Bill Belichik and win for the first time in New England since 1987 when we were both single digits. That's Josh. I'm JP. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter tonight. Texas Porch Pod, those handles. And you can always check out the Mitch designed the TexasPorch.com for all those episodes. But hit us with a subscribe, share with your fellow Cowboys friends. And as we joked last week, there's going to be a lot more Cowboys friends and fans as we go week by week. Josh Haver, before we break down one of the greatest Cowboys games, at least in the last decade, what a background you have there. And you're telling me that is live in the flesh, East Texas, actually out on your Texas porch, huh?
That is. I'm out on the porch with the background as the sun goes down. It's like 68 degrees. I don't know. This is a perfect night. I'm sure by the end of it, it'll be totally dark behind me, but that's real. It does look like a background. It looks like picturesque perfect. So I'm here for the fans. I'm sure they're all, the ones watching on Facebook are all very concerned about that. So that's why it's there.
No, I love it. I love it. And we like the dark room, Josh, as well, too. That'll be coming up here in a few minutes. Well, what a game. I'm going to jumble this one up a little bit. Not that anybody is just dying for our regular format of breaking the game down in kind of chronological order, but with the outstanding ending to that one, I thought we'd start kind of towards the end, but just big picture view in that one. I want to know a little later why we have a Bill Belichik bloody lip in that one. I was a little bit away from Cowboys Twitter for this one, but let's break down those cheating Patriots in this one. But the Cowboys were trying to go 4 games over 500 for the first time since the end of the 18 season. And that game, Josh, even though New England is not a great team by any means, they're a good team, and you're going against the best coach in NFL history. I don't think many would even dare to argue that, but I thought that was a game that set Dak apart. He could be your MVP. You get some chatter, and if Jerry Jones doesn't do Jerry Jones things, you're losing Kellen Moore because he won that chess battle with Bill Belichik, which is not easy to do. But so many things to talk about. But what grips you now in the moment with the height of the adrenaline, the sports adrenaline with that one?
I just say that feels like a game they've lose for the last, I don't know how many years. Maybe they've had a couple of good seasons in there where they win it, but there were so many points in there where you're just like, yeah, this is, you just kind of resign yourself. You're like, okay, 4-2 is not bad. And especially with, I don't know, pretty much a coaching mismatch is what I would say with McCarthy against Belichick. And McCarthy obviously has the better talent out there. But this is a game, in the past they don't win, but they did enough to win and got themselves in position after it looked like they were down, looked like they were definitely going to win, looked like they were definitely going to lose. Tied, went to overtime. So it was just one of those. It was kind of a classic Cowboys from the last few years where it's just something insane. Like there's five different plays in the last 20 minutes where it just totally changed the outcome of the game. It seems like Diggs had the interception for a touchdown. It seems like that was like 3 hours ago, considering what all happened after that. But that's sometimes sports are fun, and beating the Patriots, even that version of the Patriots, it's probably not a playoff team. I guess maybe I remember the one when we were 7, but I don't know. So, that just a fun game to watch.
I don't. That was Mike Renfro, and I guess that would have been kind of the tailing end of the Danny White era, right? 1987. But One thing I had in my kind of post recap notes that I wanted to get to off the start that made this one even sweeter, if it was possible, that New England has somehow gone to the second of the list. Everybody should know by now the team I sports hate the most is the Philadelphia Eagles from the absolute worst city in all of America. But New England, pretty much all the same, right? Right up there in the Northeast. I just grew. It's weird saying this after 6 titles and doing everything. The cheating Patriots, everything they did, it just tipped. Oh, the scales tipped in this game, where I really didn't like them. I didn't know if it was the explanation I wasn't getting with Bill Belichick's bloody lip. I don't know if it was the pouting Mac Jones. I don't know if it was those D-bag fans they kept flashing in the stands. Everything culminated with me just really about to take that one personal when they hit the 74-yard touchdown pass on Diggs, ironically, when Casey doesn't play deep enough and let blanking in the emotion, the Patriots wide receiver get behind him. But, man, I really don't like those guys now. And at the same time, I respect them so much. I don't want to – I guess I would suffer facing them again, because that would mean in a Super Bowl appearance. But you know me pretty well. Is that sports hatred justified with them up there to number 2 on the list?
You're talking to the either right or wrong person, depending on the day, because this is a anti-Boston sports area week here with Astros playing the Red Sox and the Patriots here. So yes, I'm totally on board for your side, and it's just I think it's mainly the factor just they're good, like, and have been good for 2 decades. So when you can get a chance to actually beat them, it seems like it means a little bit more. And I think this for you goes back, like, I don't think it's a new thing, because I remember a running joke on our text is stick it whatever, but it started with stick it Sox. And that was the Red Sox back when the Rangers beat the Red Sox back in the day of the Red Sox being really annoying in titles, and that's back when the Rangers were good. So this isn't something new for you. I think it goes back a while, and maybe it's amplified whenever you get a full 3.5 hours of a football game and getting to watch Belichick with a bloody lip and all the annoying Patriots fans. And to be honest, we covered a Super Bowl with a bunch of Patriots fans around, and they're kind of obnoxious. Like, they've got the accents and everything. And I don't know, that just the whole thing. We're going off on a tangent. It doesn't matter, but yes, I'm totally on board with you and disliking the Patriots and the whole Boston sports area.
That's all right. Most of them are not actually New England residents. I'd imagine you got a lot of bandwagoners, and maybe that subconsciously goes into it for me. All right, let's go into some of the dynamics of this one. And again, not doing it necessarily drive by drive, but some of the first half highlights in that one. 7-0. The Pats score on a New England. Harris has a Wildcat, so they go up first. And then Dallas really adjusts immediately after they got stymied on their first offensive drive. And they move it down the field. And we saw early good Dalton Schultz, and he was active. He had 2 long catches, but Jarwin capped it off with a short touchdown grab. And Dak proving to be the MVP he would be in this game. He was 6 for 6 on that drive to 5 different receivers. So you could see early, and obviously New England did a really good job adjusting before the last few minutes of the game. But mostly Kellen Moore and Dak obviously going through with the game plan, and still credit McCarthy. I think I'll give him a little more credit than you wanted to earlier, but spreading it out and not allowing New England to focus on just one guy or two was a really good antidote in this one than falling into the hands. There was a lot more ebb and flows, but I thought early when they set the tone in this game that even though they were down 14-7 later, I never felt, oh, New England's just going to run away with this game. There was never a huge level of discomfort. And yeah, I'm sports pessimistic, life optimistic. I thought, okay, they're going to lose this one up until the Diggs pick, and then they immediately ripped the rug out from under me again. But I never got the feeling in that game, and that started with the first drive when Dak was very diversified, and with Kellen Moore in the offense, I never got that feeling that New England was going to run away with it. And that, of course, speaks to how good New England is, but it speaks to the Dallas football Cowboys of having a good start early outside of those. Then I say that, but did they really have a good start when they had, 5 penalties in that first quarter? It was, I guess, a miracle they weren't down by more, but that first drive, getting those first points on the board did a number. There, I think I kind of talked myself back into that being a halfway decent start outside of those lousy penalties there.
It wasn't a totally miserable start, but there were plenty of things that were bad about it. Probably why you're feeling good is the entire game, it never felt like New England could stop them. Like we can go down later. I mean, it should have been, Dallas should have had at least a couple more touchdowns on the night. It never seemed like the Patriots we're really on the verge of stopping them. It's like, do they want to give up 20-yard plays? Or do they want to give up 10-yard plays? And I think that speaks, I don't know if that speaks well about the Cowboys weren't ever able to put them away despite that fact. But I think that's probably why I felt Dallas would have a chance the whole game, because I didn't think that New England was just going to come down and shut them out or anything. It's like, I know you probably were tuned into the radio broadcast, but Romo in the show was talking about how Belichick likes to take out your best option. And with the Cowboys, there's kind of a bunch of good options there. So, if you're taking somebody out, then what are you giving up? So, that's my long-winded way of saying, I just think that the offense was so good that it was obvious the Patriots weren't going to just shut them down. If the Cowboys needed to score and they didn't shoot themselves in the foot, then they did score. And so that's kind of what told the story, because the defense was kind of, up and down today. But the offense, I didn't ever get the impression that this Belichick defense is really going to shut them down.
So Henry had a touchdown receiving for New England. Ironically, I felt good after the score, like I was telling you, because I was like, a high-scoring game would benefit the Cowboys, but New England was up 14-7. But that was in the first quarter, and it was weird, like a bookend type of game. There was the early offense and then the late offense, but in between, it was just a lot of table tennis or ping pong going back and forth. The end of the first quarter. There was a hold early in the drive when the Cowboys had at the end of the first quarter by guess who? Connor Williams, the first of his 3 holds on the game. Connor Williams was atrocious, and I don't know how they adjust that in the bye week, but that's clearly the weak spot of their team, one individual player. But there was a hands to the face penalty. Tyron Smith and Cedric Wilson at that point had a really nice deep pass that was negated by that Smith penalty. But at the end of the first quarter, Dak Prescott had 161 yards passing. That was the most of any quarterback in the first quarter this season in the NFL. But that was the drive. You remember, Josh, he threw that pick in the end zone trying to tie it. So that gave the ball back to New England. And they also had those 5 first-quarter penalties. But I just saw this note that Dak on the game with those 445 yards tonight. That was the most ever against a Bill Belichick coached team. My, oh my. He is legit, bona fide MVP caliber, the way, not just that game, but everything he's fought through and everything he's come back. And we saw those couple games in a row where he wasn't the bus driver. He was the caretaker. He played the game in front of them. And it's not a shot. He just played the game that was in front of him. And I was really nitpicky because he missed on a few throws like he did in today, but you're going to miss in any week. But he came back, and just to let you know, he made every big play down the stretch. Made a couple nice runs as well too, but obviously the game winner to CeeDee Lamb, he is as up there. He's not the elite, but with the down seasons Mahomes having, I mean, he's up there with one of the tops in the league right now.
He's elite. I know you don't want to give him credit for that.
No, I do. This is me giving him credit right now. He's not the best quarterback in the league, but he's still MVP quality. I don't know what else I have to say, but he's still
okay.
He's amazing.
Well, he's elite. He's up there, like in whoever you want to put up there right now. Like we've just known him for forever, so I don't know how he could be playing much better. I mean, there's obviously going to be ones that anybody misses at any time, but he's gotten to the point where I'm surprised when he makes the bad plays, like the interception in the end zone, and it hadn't always been like that. And I think that's a little bit what sticks out in your mind every once in a while. So many times in the past, he played a great game. There'd always be the one or two plays that would really mess him up. But now it seems like if he makes those two bad plays early, then like later on in the game when it gets to overtime, you're like, well, he's going to make these plays. You're not waiting for that interception to end the game. Like at the end of regulation, you're mad whenever they try to settle for a field goal because you know he's going to do better, and it wasn't on him. But man, yeah, he's just up there now, and hopefully he can stay healthy.
Yeah, let's hope that get some rest during the bye week, and he is up there, way up there, if that makes you feel better, with one of the best in the league, to be more specific. So at the half, you had New England was Greg DeLay gave the Cowboys a only within 14-10 New England. Next drive, New England had a rare thing called a third down. New England in the first half, Dallas in the second half. They were both efficient on first and second downs. How about Bones Fossil coming through? As much as, hey, raising my hand here, rag on him for his wacky special teams plays last year, early this year too. And then he had that weird response like, oh, I just know Cowboys fans want me to go for it on fourth down. And that when they know what it was they rushed the first couple games when they had the punt block on, when it should have been a punt.
They had a punt block on when the other team was like at the Cowboys 40.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, you drop back. And so they reffed him and gave up. Yeah. I mean, the criticism on him is definitely warranted, but yeah, you can go on. He did. That was a good call by him tonight, and a really good play to actually get the block, because you always just see these guys come within 3 inches of it. You're like, how did he miss it? And finally, the Cowboys got one they didn't miss.
It was either the Bucs or the Chargers game. It was one of those first two. Obviously, the Bucs, the only one that they've lost, but could have been the Chargers game too. But neither here nor there. Luke Gifford gets the block punt. It was the first block punt for the Cowboys in 6 seasons. Dak got a leaping touchdown, but hold the phone. It, of course, gets overturned, the bane of my existence replay. So it stays at a New England 14-10 halftime advantage. New England 102-2 at Gillette Stadium when leading at the half. Oh, wait, let's edit that. 102-3 now when leading at the half. Both teams punted back and forth in the second half, and there was that one play by Gunnar Olszewski, and I was wondering, is Gunnar an Alvin native related to Oski when we had an epic road trip, heck, almost 20 years ago now, down to the border? Do you know if Gunnar Olszewski is related to your Oski?
I've got no idea. That's such a rare name. You'd think that maybe they're a distant cousin or something. But
and the Texas side, that's what made me think of it.
Yeah, I would assume not. But yeah, then whenever I first saw him, I don't know when it was, last year at some point, maybe, because he's a pretty good return guy. Remember seeing that. And I think maybe I texted him at some point and asked. But no, I'm pretty sure there's no relation there. Okay. There's definitely a different a big athletic difference between those two. And I say that as not such an athletic person right now, but let's just say Oski probably wasn't ever returning kicks or punts in the NFL.
So same last name, but different athletic ability, and probably not related. But there was a methodical drive, so not much is happening in the third quarter. And they're doing great on first and second downs, like I mentioned, but then they lose Tyron Smith for a few drives, at least a couple, with an ankle injury. There was a big pass interference call on New England. And then, bam, that fade to Lamb in the back right corner of the end zone was the 2,500th Cowboys touchdown since 1960. How can they even know that? I guess they count them all. But Dallas led 17-14 at that point. There's about 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Then Legg tacks on another field goal to give Dallas a 20-14 lead. First couple minutes of the fourth quarter. Then New England has apparently Ramondre Stevenson is just this Earl Campbell clone. He goes wild. Harris had a good game running too. He went over 100 yards, but Stevenson's not too shabby himself. And New England led 21-20. So buckle up. here we go. Last 6 minutes of the game, the bloody lip of Bill Belichik surfaces. And I'm like, this took over all my focus. I was telling Lisa, wait, what happened? What did he do? As you mentioned, I'm synced up with the radio. They didn't mention it. So did Tones Romes and Mr. Nance. Did they mention this at all? Because I was obsessed with the Bill Belichik bloody lip in this one.
If they did, then I didn't notice it, but there was so much happening in the last few minutes. It's like,
exactly.
And plus you get in the zone, you're watching the game, and if they mentioned it, then I totally don't remember. I'm not saying that they didn't, but between everything going on and the family trying to decide what Halloween movie we were watching after the game, I probably didn't even hear whatever they were saying. But there's got to be a story behind it, and it's today's media. They'll have something by the time we're done with this podcast that says he did that while such and such, and who knows?
You know me well enough. You know my sense of humor. I'm playing out these hypotheticals. So my mind worked that there was some confrontation with his son, his Scrabble, hard-looking son. Like his son took a swing at him like Jerry and Steven, the legend of lore story from years ago, how they Steven had to hold Jerry back from turning in the Johnny Manziel card. So I just had this picture of the fisticuffs, or like a player took a swing at Bill, or I don't know. It was just, it grasped all my attention. I was wondering what the bloody lip was all about. But anyway,
let's just go with the son. Yeah. After that Sunday night game, they just showed him everywhere. You wouldn't be surprised by anything. Like, he killed somebody. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. He's a mad scientist. He's a genius. Okay, that makes sense. He's an absolute freaking moron. That makes sense. So whatever. We'll blame it on the son.
Yeah, the Cowboys caught him cheating, so they took a shot at him in between the third and fourth quarters. But 21 yards, Zeke run, 21 from 21, a big rush, but a holding call from, as already mentioned, how Connor Williams drains my life force. That was his second of the three. He leads the league with 8 holding calls. This was his 7th, but he'd later have that 8th, which we talked about towards the end of the game.
Will that even count? Because he had another penalty that actually got enforced instead of the holding, so he might still have 7.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Officially. I mean, he did it, but he had another one that might take that off, because they took the 15-yard penalty instead of the 10-yard penalty, which, I mean, that was later. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I was just saying that I think he's probably officially still on 7, although obviously he did that one.
Big brain from Josh. That's why you're on here. So I guess, that was, but he had the hold and then he had the, I guess, personal foul.
Yeah, but they declined the hold, and then got the worst penalty. So somehow it's worse than being the worst in the league.
But it leads to Greg the Leg, after Dak had a really good rush to set them up to even have a chance. But even the perfect Greg the Leg since the Tampa Bay game, which was his one mulligan and the one loss for the team this year. But Greg the Leg misses from 51. And then I called it. At least I said they need to get a pick here. I'm not joking. I know there was a little bit of a delay between you and me, so I don't have text proof, but you'll have to trust me with my good podcast word. But Treyvon Diggs to the house. And I was just belting out all kinds of woo on that one. That was that got me up off the couch in front of the big screen. And that put Dallas up 26-21, about 2.5 minutes left, and they failed the 2-point try. And for all you 2-point conversion nerds out there that think you're Belichick and you know when to go for 2 all the time, that's when you go for 2, when it actually doesn't benefit you to have the kick it through the uprights. But on Diggs, he tied the NFL record with a pick in 6 straight games to start the season with about 3 or 4 other guys. But one of those on the list, fittingly, Tom Landry on there. Also did that back in 1952 with the Giants. But he and Rod Woodson, and I did steal this one off the TV, but he and Rod Woodson, the only in NFL history, had 7 picks in the first 6 games. And before we talk about him getting burnt, let's focus on the good. Do you remember a better Cowboys defensive back that did not wear number 21? I mean, I guess you could even say number 24, because we're right at the tail end of the Everson Walls era. We mentioned that 1987 game, the last time they beat New England, but I don't see how. Okay, temper the enthusiasm a bit. It's only been 6 games, but this guy is playing on a different level. Defensive MVP caliber. There'll be some seasons, Josh, where guys in the league don't have 7 picks, but he's got 7 to the first 6 games.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't totally be prisoner of the moment guy, because it is just the better portion of one season. But this 6-week span, I don't see how anybody could play better than he has. And preface that with what happens you're about to mention here after I get done with this spot. But yeah, I mean, he's there at the right moments. It's like they're almost always seem meaningful that he gets them at good points, because right there you're thinking the Patriots are going to find a way to possibly run out the clock, or at least leave them with just a little bit of time. So in spite of what happens after that, it's still a huge play from it. But yeah, I can't imagine somebody's playing better than him right now that I've ever seen with the Cowboys, at least for a good over a month span.
He's amazing. Going to soak him up, because they haven't stopped throwing to his side yet. Like, he's not that total half of the field shutdown guy. And obviously a lot's different from Aikman's day, but I heard Troy on an interview this past week on the Ticket kind of explaining how it would be years and games where they wouldn't even think about throwing Deion's way. And then how the strategy of rolling different guys into coverage. I don't pretend to understand all the X's and O's, but he's bona fide. Treyvon Diggs is up there, if he's not the best corner playing in the league right now. And maybe that's just me looking at just one stat, but man, he's got the swagger. He's got that fight in him. But, well, he got burned on the next one. He didn't get much help from Casey on the safety. Was that the next play or 2 plays later, 3 plays later? 74-yard score. Then New England goes up 29-26. So Dallas gets the ball. You see how it just kind of glazed over that one.
Yeah, I mean, he did get burned, but at the same time, I think the safety should have made a play to where the guy catches the ball and you tackle him. He just had I'm obviously no football expert, but that just seems like play. Seems like play you get burned, and you should be burned for 25 yards instead of 74 or whatever it was. So, he still got burned on the play, so you can't totally give him a mulligan for that. But I do think the safety should have been there to make a tackle after he was toast.
So Dallas got the ball back, a little over 2 minutes left. Cedric Wilson, the Cowboys do not win the game if Cedric Wilson doesn't have that high leaping catch on 4th down. Connor Williams, as we were saying earlier, kills their chances on this drive, his 3rd holding call. But then he did not kill their chances, because CeeDee Lamb plays for Dallas and not New England. 24 yards over the middle to Lamb on 3rd down and 25. 3rd down and 25. He gets 24, and gambling Mike McCarthy. We didn't even talk about him going for it on 4th and short 2 times in the first quarter. So I'm saying kick it, kick it, kick it, kick it, kick it, kick it, kick it. And they do. I don't know what I would have done if they had gone for it. I mean, that would have been up there in Dallas sports media lore of going for that one and not getting it if he had done that. So Leg kicks the field goal 29-29. There's 20 seconds left, and we go to OT.
The one thing I will say is they definitely did the right thing by kicking it there, but the possession for that, they had a 4th and 1 from the 33. And instead of kicking a 51-yard field goal, I think there you've got all your timeouts. I think you go for it and you try to get another first down, try to run out the clock. I think the advantages of their going for it outweighed trying a 51-yard field goal. But there at the end, I did think that was the right move to kick the field goal, go to overtime. I just remember thinking that at the time.
And it was their first OT since a win against Philly in 2018. Pats win the toss. New England gets up near midfield, and they come short on a 3rd down and 3, and then they punt it. Dak goes to Lamb for a 1st down up to the 36, and then Dalton Schultz. He had those few good grabs in the first quarter, and he was relatively silent since then, but he goes for 6 yards to the 42. Then a slant to Cooper at midfield. They get the 1st down. So they're poking, they're going. A quick screen to Lamb for a 1st down. And quite appropriately, CeeDee Lamb steps up, and they get the walk-off touchdown pass. And I didn't even write down the yardage on that one, but it was a lot. And the first win for the Cowboys against Bill Belichik. And all wins are good wins. It wasn't like that Giants win from last week where you knew early on, and really even before the game, that they're obviously the better team, but you do have to play the game. But this one, remember, going back a few weeks ago, it was either after the Chargers game or one of the ones after that, where we said, looking up at the next few games, New England might be the only one that they have a loss. Well, going into the bye and then with Minnesota next, it sets up really nice for Dallas to get even more cushion. Not that they didn't need it, but even more cushion in the race for now. You can after a win like this, think about it. You can legitimately think about getting the bye in the NFC. So, my oh my, how sweet it was.
This year, you do have to have the best record in the NFC to get that, but it does play in the Cowboys' favor that they're in that NFC East where there should be 6 wins, although, it never works out that way. It's tough to sweep your division, but yeah, I mean, they can start looking at that because you'd think the division's a foregone conclusion at this point. And just the way they finished the game, that was, I think it says the way that we feel about Dak. Whenever the defense got the stop, you're like, okay, this is over because all they needed was a field goal, and didn't seem like there was any way the Patriots were going to keep them off the board. Like if the Patriots would have gotten a field goal, you'd say, yeah, maybe they'll have a shot. But right whenever Dallas got the stop, you're like, this is over. And then I don't know how many plays, 5-6 plays, they got the touchdown. On the touchdown, he had a wide open tight end that was about 10 yards away. And before he threw it deep down the field, I'm like, just give it to that one because you got the field goal. And then the second that it flashed to Lamb, and see how wide open he is. Oh, okay, that's why he's making however many $1 million a year is to make that play. And then Lamb with the waving goodbye to the player out to his face. I had a couple of my kids in there, and they're like, so what if we did that in the game? I was like, I said, well, first you're going to be grounded. And then I said, no, whatever the coaches do to you, that'll be worse. But this is professional athletes. Go for it. I mean, the guy pushed him at the goal line. He held up. It's all good and fun. But as a Cowboy fan, that's just kind of the great thing. If somebody from the morning news or something got a picture of that, that'd be great for a front page of him right in the guy's face, waving goodbye to him. But yeah, just I'm glad he's on a team that I root for now, as opposed to the other one.
Yeah. Those big games at the Cotton Bowl, a couple of them that he had a few 2 or 3 years ago. So here's the final stat board. And by the way, it was a 35-yarder. The nerd in me, I had to find out the exact one. I was in the moment, the hooting and hollering at the Heath abode, and I was fired up about that one. Didn't write it down, but it was 35 yards. But as we said earlier, Dak Prescott, 445 yards as we take a quick gander at the box score. Zeke Elliott, how many yards? Did you see this? How many yards did Zeke get?
I don't know, because it seemed like they ran it okay when they needed to, but they couldn't have had many because they had 445 yards. So 50?
Yeah, well, 69.
69, nice. Okay.
Yeah, nice game for him. 17 carries, 69 yards. Did not get a touchdown, but Pollard, again, balances it out. He had 41 yards. They each average about 4 yards per carry. But CeeDee Lamb was targeted 11 times, and he caught 9 balls for 149 yards, had the 2 touchdowns. And other than that, Dalton Schultz, our guy, 5 catches for 79 yards. Jarwin had the only other touchdown receiving other than Lamb. He had the touchdown. Zeke caught 7 balls for 50 yards himself. So that's supplemented the running game, too, when they flare it out to Zeke there.
With all that, they had to have been borderline 600 yards, didn't they? What, 570, 580 total? Do you have that in front of you? That's just...
Yeah, very good. 567. and they limited New England to 335 yards.
You know, I mean, that's some college top numbers there when you get close to
Yeah.
600 yards. So I think that speaks to what we thought about the game. It was obviously the Cowboys made all the mistakes that kept the Patriots in them, but just watching it, the Cowboys are a lot better than the Patriots, and they just, between Belichick knowing what he's doing over there and the Cowboys screwing up enough to make this an overtime game, that kept it really close. But like we said earlier, it's nice to have the games like that where a whole bunch of things don't go right for you. Road game, NFL, it's not easy. It's not like they're going out and playing a college FCS school or something. There, you have to show up and win against teams that are competent, especially, and that's what they were able to do against a team that's not bad.
Getting word now, Dak was limping in the locker room, looked to be in a lot of pain. So good news. Nick Eatman tweeting, at least going into the bye week there. But the way these guys get ready, he'll be fine. I didn't see, of course, I don't know that, but he didn't. How about the game for Cedric Wilson? What were his stats? Because I kind of breezed by those. He had 4 catches for 42 yards, and that was magnified by that first down catch he had on 4th down there towards the end of regulation that eventually led to that field goal. And just looking for any other nuggets before we wrap this one up. Romo, high praises, saying, I guess you heard this. I didn't. I had him turned down today, not for his sake, but just love listening to Brad and Babe on the radio side of things. But said they built a team that can win the whole thing. It's for real. Watch out. There from Tones Roams. And all I'll say is what the a calf strain. Here we go. Dak Prescott suffered a right calf strain on the game-winning play. He'll be reevaluated tomorrow. Dun, dun, dun. So there you go. That's why he was limping.
Well, let's hope that's all right by 2 weeks, or at least not much longer. I think a calf strain's not going to be anything that keeps him out for an extended amount of time. At least let's hope not, because that, as good as they are, we've seen what they are without him, and they didn't know anything about the backup quarterback position in the offseason either. So that is the absolute one position that they cannot afford. Fortunately, they've got themselves some. Is it officially 3 games in the NFC East now? Is everybody else 2-4?
Yeah, I just saw that too.
I guess that speaks to the Cowboys actually being decent this year. Is I haven't worried about watching whatever the rest of the NFC East dumpster fires last year, where the Cowboys could be 2-4 and be in first place.
Yeah, trying to grasp at straws just to get in there. Yeah, Cowboys 5-1, football team 2-4, Eagles 2-4, and Giants at 1-5. So 5 straight wins for them Dallas football Cowboys. And yeah, we don't want to see the beginning of the Cooper Rush era in Big D. Get well, Dak Calf. Get well. All right, Josh, thank you very much. And your Blair Witch Project look going on there. Your East Texas sunset background is faded into darkness, but appreciate you. And I'm sure one way or another. Hey, by the way, I didn't tell you, I'll be in town coming up on Thursday. So let's get some, I would say third-rate taco joint, but let's get a good lunch.
Yeah, see, we can do better than that. Just let me know.
All right. That's Josh. I'm JP. You can remember, subscribe on YouTube, our podcast, obviously, The Texas Porch, that Mitch designed, thetexasporch.com, and set up those notifications. And getting that subscription or subscribing to the podcast gets you that pod a little bit earlier each week. Cowboys off this next week, and they're at the Vikings Halloween night. So we will be balancing the time between trick-or-treaters and the Dallas football Cowboys. Have a good one, sir. Talk to you this week.
All right. I will see you then.
Have a great rest of this night. God bless you. God bless Texas, and go Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? We'll talk to you next time out here on the Texas Porch. Bloody lip.